and welcome to this tutorial. I'm going to show you how to make one of these little turtles. I've got two here in different colours because if you've bought one of my crochet kits you have the choice of which colour option to go for, but you'll notice that on each one the darker colour is on the shell and the lighter colour is on the head and limbs. Okay, so if you've already bought one of my crochet kits you'll have everything that you need, but if not, you will need a 3.5mm crochet hook, a yarn needle, sometimes called a darning needle. You'll need some yarn. Now I use acrylic because it's great for beginners in particular because it's much easier to use, but often people do use cotton for this. But you'll need black, you'll need a sort of darker green and a lighter green, and then a white as well. Now I've got the colours here for this one, but you could also have brighter colours if you wanted to make a brighter one. It doesn't really matter as long as you've got two different greens, and the darker one would always be the shell. You'll also need some stuffing, some toy stuffing, some scissors, which if you have bought one of my crochet kits they don't come with scissors just because of what you can and can't send through the mail, and then a stitch marker as well. If you have bought one of my crochet kits you'll have a little plastic stitch marker, but I've actually chosen one of the ones from my shop today, which is a little rainbow one. So you'll also have a pattern which tells you how to do it, and I'm going to talk you through it step by step. We're going to start by making the head, and the head is made in the lighter colour green, so you'll need your lighter green to start with. Now I started from the middle of mine and I ended up with quite a yarn ball mess here. I'm going to try and find the end. So my crochet kits are in UK terms, so I'm going to do it in UK terms, but the US equivalents are explained. It's all UK double crochet, so it's US single crochet. Okay. You start with a magic circle, so you're going to lay the yarn over your fingers, pull it around the back of them and tuck it between the last two. You're going to then cross it over on the inside of your hand, and on the outside of your hand they're not crossed. So this side they make a cross, this side they don't. Take it underneath the first one, pull the second one through, do a twist, and go and pick up that second one again. And then tricky bit is to put it through that first loop that you made. This is your magic circle. Now you'll see you've got a circle and you've got a little tail here as well. Just keep the tail held onto the circle for now. You're going to put 6 double crochet into here. Now that means that you're going to take your crochet hook, put it underneath both of those. You're going to take your yarn over, so you've now got 2 loops on your crochet hook, yarn over and pull through both of those. That is one double crochet, single crochet US term. So that's one. We're going to do 6 of these. So go under the 2 strands again, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through both. That's 2. And again, under both strands, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. That's 3. You can count them by looking at these V's. 1, 2, 3. Do that again. Under both strands, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. And again, underneath, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. And once more to make it 6 in total. So you can actually see this by, if I just pull this up a little bit, you can count the V's that you've got. So you've got 1 where the loop's coming out of, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Now if you take your loose strand, so the one that's got the end of it, and just gently pull this now, it'll pull it closed and make it into a circle, and that's your magic circle. Don't worry if you've got a little gap for now, we can pull it tighter as we go. It'll probably work its way a little bit loose on the next round anyway. So this is where you might want to use your stitch markers that you've got. If you just pull that up a little bit, it means that you won't lose it. And if you take your stitch marker and put it in that last stitch that you created, which is the one where this loop is coming out of, so put it through there, that holds that stitch so you know which was your last one of the round. Now this next round we're going to do 2 double crochets in each of the 6 stitches that we've got. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to put 2 in each of them. That means that we'll end up with 12. This is always the hardest one to get into, the first one. I think it's because it's next to the knot, but go through it, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. You're going to do a second one in the same place, so go back through where you did the first one, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. That means you've done 2 double crochets in that first stitch. You're going to continue on round. So in the next stitch, we're going to do 2 double crochets. So yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. And in the same stitch, another one. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. Go into the next stitch and you're going to put 2 double crochets in this one. So yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. And again into the same one, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. You'll notice my circle's opened up a little bit, that's fine. We'll pull it tight again when we get to the end of the round. Go into the next stitch, another 2 double crochets. So 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, and into the next stitch, 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet. Now you'll find that your next stitch has got this stitch marker in, so let's just take it out. We can do our 2 stitches in there. 1, 2. I'm going to put my stitch marker straight back into this last stitch so that again I know which the last stitch of each round is, because there's a danger if you don't that you might go over or under. So find the last one, put your stitch marker in, and then put your hook back in. Now I've got a little gap here, so I'm just going to pull it a bit tighter. You can pull it as tight as you can, so you don't want the yarn to snap, but that will completely close off that circle in the middle. So that's round 2 done. We're now on to round 3, where we're going to increase up to 18 stitches. So we use a simple repeat for this. We do a double crochet in the first one. So this is just the next stitch round. Double crochet, 1 in that one. Then in the next one we put 2 double crochets. And this is a repeat that we do all the way around. So 1, 2. And the next one you do 1. The next one you do 2 double crochets. So it's the same stitch all the time. So hook in, yarn over, pull through 2. 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet. Continue this repeat all the way around. So 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, 1 double crochet, and you'll find that when you get back to your stitch marker, that should be on a 2 double crochet one. We call that an increase stitch, where you put 2 in one. It's called an increase. So you'll see it written as INC for increase stitch. Okay, so that means we've now completed the 3rd round. So I'm going to pop my stitch marker in again, and we're going to start the 4th round, round 4. This time we're increasing again up to 24 stitches, so it's a really simple repeat again. We do double crochet, so that's double crochet in 2 stitches, one there, one in the next one, and then in the next stitch along we put a 2 in 1, which is your increased stitch. So 1, 2 in the same, and we repeat that. Double crochet, double crochet, and then your increase, which is your 2 in 1. Now repeat that all the way around, and your last one here where the stitch marker is should be an increase, a 2 in 1. Okay, and I'll meet you back round there. So you should now have 24 stitches, and we're on to round 5, which is again a very simple repeat. So make sure you've put your stitch marker in that final stitch again, and this time we're going to do double crochet 3 times. So 1 in the first stitch, 1 in the second stitch, 1 in the third stitch, and then we do our increased stitch, which is our 2 in 1. So that's 1, 2 in the same one. And again, work that pattern all the way around. So double crochet, double crochet, double crochet, increase your 2 in 1, and I'll meet you back round at the final stitch again. Remember that final one will be an increased stitch, so that will be a 2 in 1 at the end. You'll now have 30 stitches. Now if you wanted to count them, you can do so just by looking at the sort of V shape that is made at the top. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 all the way around, and you should find that you've got 30. And also the tail, that is actually going to be the inside of your work, so you notice they do look slightly different, but that side will be the inside, this side will be the outside, so what people see. Okay, we're now on to round 6, and round 6 is another increase round. We're now increasing up to 36 stitches, and again it's a very simple repeat. So this time we're doing double crochet in the first stitch, double crochet in the second stitch, double crochet in the third stitch, double crochet in the fourth stitch, and then you do your increased stitch, which is your 2 in 1. So you put 1 in and another one in exactly the same place, and once again you complete that pattern, that repeat all the way around, and your stitch marker 1, your last one from your previous round, will be an increase stitch, and I'll meet you at the end of this round. And now we're on to round 7, where we're increasing again up to 42 stitches. So once again a very simple repeat. This time it's going to be double crochet in the first stitch, double crochet in the second stitch, double crochet in the third stitch, double crochet in the fourth stitch, double crochet in the fifth stitch, and then you do your increase in what would be the 6th stitch. So 1, 2, because that's an increased stitch, and once again follow that pattern, that repeat all the way around. Your last stitch, the one with your stitch marker in, should be your increased stitch, and I'll meet you back round when you finish this round. Right, so you've now got 42 stitches and you've got the head to the size that you need it. You're now going to do 3 rounds where there's no increases. It's just 1 stitch in each stitch of the previous round. So it's just going to be in each of the next 3 rounds, there's going to be 42 stitches. So you just double crochet in each stitch as you go round. Again, use your stitch marker so that you know which is the last one of the round. But there's no increases, no need to count unless you're not using a stitch marker, but you're just putting 1 in each stitch of the round. So you'll end up with 42 stitches again. You'll notice as you do these ones that the head does then start to sort of get a curved sort of bowl shape to it as you do this. Okay, so it's just one stitch in each stitch all the way around, but you need to do this 3 times, so 3 rounds of 42. Do these 3 rounds and I will meet you once you've finished all 3 of them, and your head will start to look a little bit more bowl shaped. Okay, so after you've done those 3 rounds of double crochet all the way around, you're now going to start decreasing. So we follow a simple repeat for that as well. So this is round 11, where we're going to go from 42 stitches down to 36. So we do into the next stitch, remember to put your stitch marker in, double crochet 5 times, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then your next stitch is going to be a decrease stitch. There's 2 ways of doing this decrease stitch, and it's on your pattern and you'll see it's just DEC for decrease. You can either, a decrease stitch is 2 stitches down to 1, so you can either go straight into the next one, yarn over, pull through, keeping those 2 loops on your hook, and then go into the next one after that, do the same, yarn over and pull through. So you'll end up with 3 loops on your hook, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. That's one way of doing it. But the way that I prefer, which I think gets a much tighter close, is to actually do your decrease just on the outer 2. So we've been going through both loops of the stitch. This is called an invisible decrease. You go into just the outer loop. Can you see I'm coming up through the middle of the stitch? And do the same on the second stitch as well, because remember you're decreasing from 2 down to 1. So I've just done it on the outer loop, just that first one. And then yarn over, pull through. You have to pull through both of those. And then yarn over, pull through. And that's your decrease stitch. That's the way I prefer doing it. And then you repeat that all the way around. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then your decrease stitch, first loop only of the first one, first loop only of the next one. It's often called the front loop, this one, and the other one's the back loop. Yarn over, pull through both, yarn over, pull through. Okay, decide which way you want to do your decreases, just make sure you do it the same all the way around. Repeat that 5 double crochets, 1 decrease, repeat that all the way until you get to your stitch marker again, and I'll meet you back round there. When you get back round, you'll end up with 2 stitches at the end, because you should be ending on a decrease. So there should be 2 stitches for you to finish off the round with your decrease stitch. So decrease into that one, and you'll find you've now got 36 stitches. We're going to go straight into round 12, where we're now decreasing again down to 30 stitches. So I'm just putting my stitch marker back in. I'm now going to go down to 30 stitches, so it's a similar repeat. So double crochet, this time it's 4 double crochets, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and then your decrease stitch, which takes 2 stitches down to 1. Repeat that all the way around, and I'll meet you back round at your stitch marker again. And now we're on to round 13, and this time we're going to decrease down to 24 stitches. So similar idea, but your pattern your repeat changes ever so slightly, you have 3 double crochets and then a decrease. So we do 1, 2, 3, and then your decrease stitch, all the way around. And you'll notice that you're starting to sort of close off the head, as it were. So repeat that all the way around, 3 double crochet, 1 decrease, and I'll meet you back at the end of the round again. Okay, for round 14, we're going to decrease in a slightly different way, with a slightly different pattern, just because we want to try and change the shape of our tortoise's head or turtle's head a little bit. So you're going to do 2 double crochet first of all. So 1, 2 in the first 2 stitches, and then all of your decreases are going to be in a row this time. So we're going to do 6 decrease stitches in the next 12 stitches. So because it's 2 at a time, isn't it? So this is my first decrease, and then I'm going to do another decrease straight away in the next 2 stitches. So that's my second decrease. I'm going to keep doing another one. You do need to keep your tension quite tight for this because you don't want any gaps. So that's 3 decreases and another decrease. That's 4 decreases and another decrease. That's 5 decreases and 1 more decrease in the next one, or the next 2 stitches, because it's a decrease, so it's 2 stitches down to 1. That's just going to change the shape of the neck for our turtle, and then you're going to double crochet the next 10 stitches. So no more decreases, just your normal double crochets, and that should take you all the way back to your stitch marker. Take my stitch marker out for my 10th one. And now you'll have 18 stitches around the neck, but we've kind of changed the shape a little bit because if I come back to my original turtle, we actually want the head sort of looking upwards a little bit. So we're changing the shape so that it does sort of sit upwards and look upwards. All right, so that's what we're trying to do around the neck at the moment. So you're left with 18 stitches. For the next 5 rounds, you're just going to double crochet every single stitch. So it's 18 stitches for the next 5 rounds, and that will just make the neck a little bit longer. So I'm going to leave you to do those 5 rounds because that's just a double crochet in each stitch all the way around, and I'll meet you once you've done all 5 rounds of them. It might be a good idea to get a pencil and paper and tally them off as you go so you don't miss any. Okay, so now the head and neck are almost finished. We're just going to do 4 double crochet just to kind of get us into the right place. So if you just do 4 double crochet, you don't have to go the whole way round, just an extra 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, just to get us in the right place for when we close the head or the neck in a second. Now the other great thing with your stitch marker, can't remember if I've told you this already yet, but if you actually put the stitch marker in your loop that you've pulled up, which is your current stitch, then if you happen to pull it tight, it won't come undone, so you save losing any stitches. You're now going to stuff the head. I would recommend using around about a quarter of the stuffing that you've got, maybe a third, but I would have thought a quarter is probably enough. So just take a small amount and put it in, and then keep tearing off small amounts, putting it into the head. You really want to try and stuff it firmly and make sure that you get right underneath this little sort of bit here. All right, so keep putting it in. You'll find it takes more than you realise, but you want to make sure that you save enough stuffing for the actual body as well. So say I recommend probably somewhere between a quarter and a third of your stuffing that you've got. Okay, so stuff it quite firmly like that. You want to make sure that the stuffing does go all the way into the head there. Okay. Now, because of the shape that we did, when we close this, you'll see that you've actually got more of a shape around here, because that's the sticking up part of the head. And the way that we're going to close it is just to crochet across the neck. So pick up your yarn, you're going to go into the next stitch, and then you're just going to find one opposite, because you're going to fold it over. Should be able to go into that one back there. Okay, then yarn over, pull through both of them, which can be a little bit tricky, and yarn over and pull through to close it off. Now go into the next stitch. This will be easier now to go one across, because you've already done your fold. And just do this all the way along. Now there's no right and wrong with how many stitches. I think I usually get about 8, but it's okay if you don't have that many, because it won't matter for the final closing of the shell at the end. But this will keep the head securely closed. So go all the way along. You're just crocheting across both sides and go until you can't go anymore. I always go into this final one as well. Okay, and then you have managed to close it off, so there's no stuffing going to come out. I generally do a chain one or a slip stitch to finish it off. It doesn't matter how much yarn you leave, you don't need a very long yarn tail, because there's not much sewing required for this one. Okay, and then just pull your yarn up, your loop up, and there we go. That is your head. Okay, so you can put that aside now for later. You will need it when you come to put them together. We're now going to have a go at doing one of the legs. Now the legs are all made in the same way, and there's 4 of them. There's no stuffing involved for the legs, they're just folded over, so they're really quite easy to make, and they work up quite quickly. So we're going to start in the same way as we started for our head, which is the magic circle. So lay the yarn over your fingers, bring it around the back and catch it between the last 2. Now cross it over on this side, but on this side they just run sort of parallel to each other. So crossed on the inside, parallel on the outside. Crochet hook under the first, over the second and pull it through, twist, so your hand's facing the right way again, and then go under the second, and then you're going to pull it through the little hoop that you've got. Oh, that's just come undone for me, so I'll do that again. Crossed on the front, 2 on the back, under, pull through, twist round, and then pull through. There. So then we've got that circle. And remember, there's an extra tail on your circle as well. So when you're doing your 6 double crochets into your circle, you go under both of these. So take your hook, go under both, and I grip it in my fingers, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. That's 1 double crochet. Go under both, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through both loops. That's 2. Under both of the tails, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. That's 3. Keep doing that. 4, 5, 6. Okay, once you've done 6, that's when you can pull your tail tighter to close it off. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you count back to your first one. Put your stitch marker in for your 6th stitch. Quite fiddly and small at this stage. So go back to your first one. This is always the hardest one to get into, but you've got to go under both loops, and you're going to do 2 double crochets in each stitch. So 1, back into that same one that's a bit tricky, 2, into the next stitch, 1, 2, into the next stitch, 1, 2. Now don't worry if it starts to come undone, you can keep tightening it as you go, that's not a problem. Into the next stitch, 1, 2, into the next stitch, 1, 2, and then you should be back to your stitch marker, so you can take that out and do 2 in that one as well. 1, 2. Put your stitch marker back in. My nails are too long for these stitch markers at the moment. And then you've currently got 12 stitches. You're going to go up to 18 stitches like we did before, using a repeat all the way around. So you do a double crochet and then you do an increase, which is 2 double crochets in 1 stitch. So 1, 2. Repeat that all the way around. 1 double crochet and then an increase. 1, 2. Repeat that until you get round to your stitch marker again. Now we're on to round 4, where we're going to increase up to 24 stitches. So a bit like we did before, it's double crochet, double crochet, increase stitch, so 2 in 1. Then repeat that all the way around back to your stitch marker. We're now on to round 5, which again we're going to follow a really simple repeat. This time it's double crochet in the next 3. So 1, 2, 3, and then in the next one, that's where you're going to put your increase this time. So follow that really simple pattern round, 3 double crochets and an increase in the 4th one. Follow that repeat and I'll meet you back round at the stitch marker. And we're now on to round 6, which again is another really simple repeat. It's 4 double crochets and an increase. So 1, 2, drop my hoop then, 3, 4, and your increase stitch, and repeat that all the way around. So 4 double crochets, 1 increase stitch. That's your pattern repeat. And round 7 is another really simple repeat. This time it's 5 double crochet and 1 increase as your repeat. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, increase, so that's 2 in your next stitch, 1, 2, and repeat that all the way around. So 5 double crochet, 1 increase. Repeat that until the end of the round. Now we've made our arm or leg big enough as it needs to be. We're just going to fold it over to give it the shape that we want and close it off as we do this. There's no stuffing required for this. But go into the next stitch, fold it over, so you're going to go into the last stitch. So you're making it this sort of shape, semicircular shaped. And this time, when we did this before to close off the neck, we just double crocheted all the way across, but this time you're going to slip stitch, where you just pull the yarn through and then you just pull it straight through the hook. That slipped off, put it straight through the hook. So pull and then through the loop on your hook as well. Go into the next stitch and the one across from it, yarn over, pull through and slip stitch into the loop on your hook. Into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through and pull it through the loop on your hook. Do the same by going into the next stitch and keep repeating this all the way around to close off the leg. You might have a little yarn tail like mine from the beginning. You can just tuck that in, or you can cut it a bit shorter. I just tuck it in out of the way. It's not needed. It's not important anymore. You're just slip stitching, this is called, all the way along to close it off. Going through both sides of the work so that it's now a closed piece. You won't have a gap in it anymore. Keep doing that all the way around. Making sure that you do go through both sides each time. Otherwise you might end up with a little hole in your leg. And you'll end up with a semicircular shape. So keep going until you get to the end. Again, the exact number of stitches aren't really important, just as long as you have gone from start to finish on it and closed it off. Last one, and then I just do a little chain one. And again, you don't need a very long yarn tail, so just snip it off. Pull your loop through, and that's done. You can either leave these tails free or you can sew them in. It doesn't really matter too much because they'll probably end up being sewn in when you make your turtle at the end. But you need 4 of these. So either read the pattern if you're quite confident reading it, or pause the video and go back and make sure you've now got 4 legs before moving on. Right, once you've made all 4 legs, we're now going to go on to the tail. Now this is still in the light green colour, but this is quite a fiddly one just because the tail is quite small. So we're going to start with a magic circle as we've done before. Make sure it's crossing on this side and parallel on that side. You should be getting quite good at these magic circles by now, having done a fair few of them on the legs. But this time we're only going to put 4 double crochet in. So under both bits of the yarn there, 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, 3 double crochet, 4 double crochet. And again, you can put your stitch marker into that 4th and final stitch that you just did. So it is quite fiddly when it becomes this small. Pull the yarn tail to close off your little circle, and then find your first stitch. Now the first stitch is always a little bit hidden. It's this one right here beside the knot. Make sure you do go into that first one, otherwise you'll end up with a very small tail. I think I've pulled mine a bit too tight. Ooh, that was a squeeze to get it through. So we're increasing all stitches this time. So in each one you're going to put 2 stitches. So I'm going back through this one. Oh, this is a very tight stitch. I think I might have pulled my magic circle a little bit too tight this time. So 1 and 2 in that one. Got it. Into the next one. 1, 2. Into the next one. 1, 2, and then into the last one, which is where my stitch marker is, so I'll take this out of the way. 1, 2. Now you've only increased up to 8 this time because you started with 4, so you should now have 8 stitches. Then in the next round you're just going to double crochet each of the stitches, so you'll still have 8 at the end of the next round. So I'm going to put my stitch marker back in. I'm going to find the next stitch. It's here. I'm just going to double crochet each one. So you can count round as you do it if you wish to, or you can just go until you reach the stitch marker. But double crochet in each one. These are quite hard to see. You're working on something that's very, very small. So do just try and take your time, make sure you're not missing any stitches out. It's quite difficult to find a good grip on it as well. It's always these smaller bits that are the really fiddly ones, just because there's not much to hold and there's not much to see. Keep going until you get back around to the stitch marker. You can see I've got 2 more. I'm trying to keep it nice and tight as I do this as well, because I don't really want holes in there. If you have quite a loose tension, that's when you get lots of little holes in there. And the last one. And now on to round 4, and on round 4 we're going to do a very simple repeat, because we're going to increase from 8 stitches up to 10. So it's not going to make it much bigger, but we're going to do 3 double crochets and 1 increase. So double crochet, double crochet, and a third double crochet, and then in your next stitch you're going to put 2 double crochets because you're increasing. So in here we put 2, 1, 2, because that's my increased stitch, and repeat that again. So 3 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, and then where my stitch marker is, my last stitch is going to be my increased stitch, so I'm going to put 2 in that one. One, 2. Now the next 2 rounds are just a double crochet in each stitch, so you can put your stitch marker back in, and there's 10 stitches, remember, so you're doing 2 rounds of 10. If you do those, and I'll meet you back once you've done those 2 rounds. So once you've done your 2 rounds of 10, you do need to make sure that your tail is the right way out. So this yarn tail should be coming from the inside. If you've got it coming from the outside, just gently use your crochet hook to push your yarn tail through to the other side, and then your tail will be the right way out. Now you can snip that off if it's getting in the way. I just tuck it in just to leave it there. Just find it's the easiest thing to do. And we're going to close off the tail now in the same way that we did the head. So we're going to double crochet along the end to close it off. So go on to the next stitch, go into the stitch before the last one, and double crochet across. Now I usually get about 4 stitches across the tail. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, it doesn't matter if it's not exact, it won't affect any of the sewing in at the end. Chain 1, pull up a little loop and snip off the end and pull it up. And again, like with the others, put it to one side and save it for later.